Hello and welcome to the lecture series on automobile engineering. Today we'll discuss about the power and torque characteristics and gearboxes. So this is very important to understand about the tractive effort of the car that is being generated by the engine that has to be transmitted to the wheels. So it is very important. Okay. So we'll discuss the various functions of transmissions today. So this transmission is analogous to the word transmission system because in some books you'll find that transmission system is used for entire transmission elements, and in some books you'll find that this transmission is used for gearboxes specifically. Okay, so here I have written these two terms, transmission for gearbox. Okay, so the basic function of the gearboxes, in fact transmission, is to provide leverage or torque ratio between engine and wheels. So because the engine will be running at different speed, but at all the time the requirement of the speed on the wheels is not similar. So it must be multiplied. Okay. So there should be different torque ratios as per the requirement of the user or owner, right? So this gearbox provides a leverage that is known as torque ratio. The torque between the engine and the rear wheels. Okay, so that must be provided, okay, as per the requirement. So there should be certain like 3 torque ratios, 4 torque ratios, 5 torque ratios, or even more. Okay, that has to be multiplied as per the requirement. For example, if you want to move in first gear, the torque ratio will be different. If you want to move in second gear, the torque ratio will be different, and the speed requirements are also different. Okay, and in fact, why I am saying that as per the requirement, because in some of the vehicles we have to move fast, okay, like in cars, like in racing cars, so their requirement is different. And in some of the vehicles we have to move slow, but we have to carry a heavy load. For example, in trucks we have to move slow, but it must be able to carry heavy loads. So based on our requirement, the torque must be multiplied or from supplied from the engine to the rear wheels. So this is very important, and this function is served by the gearbox of an automobile. So other function of transmission system is to provide a neutral position so that we can be able to disconnect the engine with road wheels. In some instances we want that the engine should be started, because every time if we'll go for starting the engine, it will consume more fuel. So we want that engine must be started, but the power must not be transmitted to the rear wheels. In that cases, the gearbox is the main unit which provides a neutral position. In that position, the engine is started, but the vehicle is not moving. So this position is being provided by the gearboxes. Okay. So third provision that is being required by every user is the reversal of the car. So it should be able to provide a facility so that the car or the vehicle can be reversed. Okay, in all the times you don't have to move in forward direction. In some times we have to move in reverse direction or back direction. Okay, so this gearbox serves the purpose of providing a facility in which the vehicle can be reversed. Okay, so these are the main functions of a transmission system or gearbox. So if we talk about the necessity of transmission, so we must focus about the resistance variation due to vehicle motion. So today we'll focus on these 2 points. Okay, how this resistance basically varies with the car's speed. Okay, we'll discuss about this. And second point is that tractive effort variation due to vehicle speed. We'll see how this tractive effort is basically the force exerted by the engine on the wheels varies with the engine speed or vehicle speed. So these two parameters are very important for the design of the gearboxes. Okay, so we'll focus on these 2 points today. So in automobile transmission system, we must talk about the total resistances encountered by the automobiles or the cars or the vehicles. Okay, so this total resistance include three major resistances. First one is wind resistance, second one is gradient resistance, third one is miscellaneous resistance. Okay, so we'll talk about one by one. Wind resistance is basically the resistance caused due to air motion. When the car moves in forward direction, it encounters some air coming in its reverse direction, just opposite to the car's motion. Okay, that must be taken care. Okay, So the shape should be specified or designed in such a way that it must be able to resist the air to a very less extent. Okay, that's why we prefer for aerodynamic designs. Okay, and if we compare these two vehicles, in this case the air flows smoothly over the car because of the design of the car. Okay, and in this case what is happening, air does not flow over the car smoothly because the design is resisting the movement of the air. Okay, so this is very important that the design should be properly made. In fact, after designing this sort of car, we still face some wind resistance because that will be striking to the surface of the car and will be trying to reduce the speed of the car. So this sort of resistance is known as wind resistance. Okay, in this case also we can see that there is a wind resistance which is coming just opposite to the movement of the vehicle. Okay, so these resistances must be taken care of while designing the gearboxes because that should be able to take the load of these particular resistances. Second one is the gradient resistance. Okay, if the vehicle has to climb a gradient like this, if we have to go or we have to drive the vehicle over a flywheel, okay, which is having a gradient this theta of some angle. Okay, so what will happen? Air resistance is there due to the motion of the vehicle, but in addition to this air resistance, the resistance due to gradient will be there, and this is due to the weight of the vehicle. So we can compute the value of the gradient resistance. So this also plays a major role in the design of the gearboxes and the design of the engine. Third resistance is basically the miscellaneous resistances, which may include the type of road because we might be moving in some muddy condition, we might be moving in flat road conditions, we might be moving on the roads which are made from some other material. So this coefficient of friction between the road and the tire material also plays a major role, and like tire friction is an important parameter. So all these resistances, leaving this wind resistance and gradient resistance aside, comes under miscellaneous resistance. Okay, so these three resistances are very important and they must be taken care of. Okay, in fact miscellaneous resistance may also encounter due to the improper inflation of the tire. Okay, if the tube is not filled properly with air, so that may add a resistance to the vehicle's motion, as may encounter during movement of the car. Okay, so it is very important to understand about the aspects which depends upon the speed of the vehicle. So these are basically dependent upon the speed of the vehicle. In fact we can say that wind resistance is that directly proportional to the speed of the vehicle, and these two resistances are not proportional to speed of the vehicle but they are nearly constant. Okay, so we'll see in terms of graph. So here we can see that, as I have told you, this wind resistance increases with, on x-axis we have shown the speed of the car. So this axis shows the speed of the car. Okay, so with an increase in speed of the car, what is happening to the wind resistance? It also increases. Okay, so this increases with the increase in speed of the car. So we can say that this is directly proportional and is being following some law. Okay, and if we talk about the gradient resistance, this remains constant. Okay, this does not depend upon the speed of the car, rather it depends upon the gradient. Okay, that depends upon theta or I that I have shown in previous figure. So third one is the miscellaneous resistance, that is also a constant sort of parameter which does not affected by the speed of the vehicle. Okay, so in total we can say that the total resistance when sum total, when these parameters are summed, okay, by adding these parameters we'll get a curve like this, that will be for total resistance of the car encountered during its motion. So what we can say that with an increase in speed of the car, the total resistance that encompasses wind resistance, gradient resistance, and miscellaneous resistance like road type, tire friction, etc., increases. Okay, so with an increase in speed of the car, the total resistance increases. This increase is due to the existence of wind resistance. Okay, so we can also say that, okay, we can also say that these total resistances may be different for different conditions. Okay, So these total resistances may be different, okay, for different set of conditions. So this is set of condition number 1, this is set of condition number 2, set of condition number 3. So in this case what is happening, say we can assume that the gradient resistance is fixed, miscellaneous resistance is fixed. So with an increase in speed of the car, the speed the wind resistance increases. So these are certain parameters, different parameters under different set of conditions, okay. So in total we can say that the total resistance varies directly with the speed, okay. So now we'll talk about the tractive resistance or tractive effort produced by the cars. This is basically the tractive effort, okay. So this image shows the diagram of a or the plot of a tractive effort. So what is happening there? So these 1, 2, 3 represents the gear numbers, okay. For example, a car is having 3 gears. So in first gear, this is the condition of tractive effort for first gear. This is the condition for tractive effort of second gear, and this is the condition for tractive effort of third gear, okay, or top gear. So as we say in normal language, that the top gear is the third gear if it is a 3 geared vehicle, okay, or 3 geared car. So what we can observe from this graph, basically what is happening to the tractive effort with an increase in speed. Basically, how can we define this tractive effort? That tractive effort is basically the force exerted by engine on wheels. So this tractive effort basically moves the vehicle, okay, on the road. So what is the observation here? We can say that in first gear the tractive effort is more, it reaches to a peak value and then comes down. So this is the range of variation of tractive effort within speed, okay. In first gear this is the range of variation. In second gear of the car, this is a range of tractive effort variation, okay, and this is the nature of variation of tractive effort. In third gear, we can say a widespread variation of tractive effort with an increase in speed of the car. So what is the importance here? Okay, so we'll understand the importance of this particular parameter by superimposing this figure number 4 and figure number 5, okay, in a single figure, okay. This is clear because we can see that, we can feel that while driving the motorcycle or while driving the car, the torque produced during first gear is very high, okay, and the speed of the car is very less. We must have encountered this particular condition. In second gear, the tractive effort is comparatively less but the speed is more. In third gear, it again happens that the tractive effort is very less and the speed is high, okay. So this is the condition. When we superimpose this particular graph with graph number 4, what will happen? So now see these conditions. The condition number 1, condition number 2, condition number 3 and condition number 4. When superimposed with this particular parameter, that is tractive effort, okay. So this is the condition for tractive effort when the vehicle is running in gear number 1, lowest gear. The condition for tractive effort when the vehicle is running in gear number 2. Condition for tractive effort when the vehicle is running gear number 3, which was shown in figure number 5. So by superimposing this total resistance curve, this is having some value as 1, this is number 2, number 3 and number 4. These are 4 curves, okay. So what we can observe from here, there is an intersection point between these curves, total resistance curve 1 and this is tractive effort. There is an intersection point, okay. Say the origin is at O, okay. So we can say that when the tractive effort is more than total resistance, okay, the car will accelerate to a speed where tractive effort becomes equal to total resistance. So there should be a balance between the tractive effort and total resistance. They must be in equilibrium. For example, in this condition, this is condition number 3 regarding tractive effort and total resistance is say 1. So what will happen? So there exists an equilibrium condition in which the tractive effort tries to be equal to the total resistance. So this is the equilibrium condition. So for example, we take this example. Okay, so we say that if the car is moving in top gear or third gear, so the total resistance curve is being 1. The resistance offered by wind, gradient and miscellaneous is say 1. It is equal to this condition 1, and it varies in this nature as shown in this particular graph. Okay, so as I have said, this O is the origin. So for this particular curve, the intersection of tractive effort and intersection of this total resistance curve for condition 1 is this point, and say this point is OA. Okay, from origin it is OA. So this is the stabilizing speed. What do we mean by stabilizing speed? Okay, where the vehicle will come in equilibrium with the these two factors like tractive effort and total resistance will be justifying each other. Okay, they will be equal to each other. Okay, so if the speed at any time is less than OA, so this was the stabilizing speed at which it will be in equilibrium. So for some instance of time, if we decrease the speed of the engine, okay, it comes to OB. For example, it comes to OB. So what will happen? The stabilizing point is far away from this point OB. OB point, this speed. We have decreased the speed of the car to point B. So new equilibrium, new condition is OB. So we can say that if speed at any time is less than OA, which is the stabilizing speed, and it is at present OB, the excess tractive effort. So what we can see from here, that there is an excess tractive effort which will turn this condition to come to stabilizing speed. So this excess tractive effort will accelerate it to OA condition. Okay, because the tractive effort is more and the resistance condition is less at this point. So this will move it to OA. It will shift automatically it to OA because of the produced tractive effort by the engine. So if say the speed is increased beyond this point A, it is now C. So if the speed is OC, what will happen? The excess resistance will, this is the excess resistance as compared to stabilizing point. This is the resistance which is excess. Okay, so this will tend to deaccelerate the vehicle and will try to move it back to condition OA, that is the stabilizing speed. So this is very very important. Okay, what we can further see that if the total resistance condition comes to point 2, still gear number 3 is able to handle this condition. Okay, so due to some reason gradient has increased or tire adhesion has increased or tire wear has more occurred. So due to this the total resistance has shifted to point number 2. Still gear number 3 is able to handle this situation because now the stabilizing speed corresponding to total resistance number 2 will be this point OD. Okay, intersection of this point. Okay, not OD, this intersection points, say OX, some point X. Okay, still it will be able to handle this situation. So this will be new stabilizing speed. Now if we talk about curve number 3, so we can see that the tractive effort produced by gear number 3, the tractive effort produced by gear number 3 is not intersecting with the total resistance curve. So what will happen? This resistance cannot be met by running the vehicle on third gear or top gear. Is it clear? I mean to say, if the total resistance has further increased, then we cannot run the vehicle on top gear, that is third gear here in our example. Okay, so because there is no intersection point between this total resistance curve and the tractive effort curve. Okay, so what will happen? So we must shift from third gear to second gear, then only there will be an intersection point between the tractive effort curve and the total resistance curve. So in particular we can say that the vehicle will not move if we directly shift to gear number 3 to take over the total resistance corresponding to this point number 3. We must shift to gear number 2 to take care of this particular resistance. Okay, so when we shift to gear number 2 of the car, this total resistance 3 curve can be sustained. Okay, so this will be the intersection point, and OD will be the new stabilizing speed in condition number 3 for gear number 2. So when we will be running the car on gear number 2, this will be the stabilizing speed. So any speed beyond this value will bring back it to the OD. Any speed beyond any speed below this value will tend to bring it to back to point number, this intersection point OD. Okay, so this is very very important. Now if we say about point number 4, what we can see, the total resistance is very high. Say the gradient has increased up to a greater level. So now the curve has reached to total resistance number 4. So what will happen? So we can say that for total resistance curve corresponding to point number 4, this one, gear number 3 and gear number 2 will not be able to bear this load. Okay, because they are not intersecting, their characteristics is different, and there is no intersection point between the tractive effort and the total resistance curve. So in that case, the vehicle will not move in gear number 2 and 3. You might face this situation practically while moving the car or while running the motorcycle, because sometimes if you have loaded heavily on the car or on the motorcycle and you try to run on higher or top speed, then it will not be able to run. You will feel it. Or for example, if we are running over a flyover, we are climbing over a flyover on with our car or motorcycle, then we feel that the vehicle is not able to take the load in top gear, so we must shift the gear back to the lower gears. So to meet the requirements of this particular higher resistance, okay, we must reduce the speed of the vehicle, and corresponding to gear number 1, in which the tractive effort is very high, as we have discussed earlier, there will be a new intersection point, and corresponding to this intersection point, the stabilizing speed will be obtained. Okay, so to meet this sort of resistance, this may be due to the gradient. Okay, at lower speeds still we are able to move the vehicle due to high tractive effort. So for this gear, the first gear, the lowermost gear of the car or the bike, in which the speed is very less but the torque is very high, so we may able to climb a heavier gradient as compared to these two. So this situation is very very important to understand about the working conditions of the gearboxes. Okay, I hope this will be clear to you, and in next lecture we'll discuss about the uh, gearboxes, types of gearboxes that are generally used in the automobiles, and these are basically uh, sliding mesh gearbox, synchro mesh gearbox, and constant mesh gearbox. So we'll discuss in our next lecture. So here the closing comment is that, as we have seen here in curve 2, the stabilizing speed is less. In curve 3, at this gradient curve 3 do not cross curve number 3, total resistance curve number 3. Therefore the car will not be able to go at this gradient in top gear, as I have told you. So if we'll shift to second gear, the stabilizing speed will be shifted to OD value that I have told you. In second gear, the car will not run on gradient number 4. For that we must shift to gear number first. Okay, so what is the outcome? During starting, more acceleration is required when we want to run the vehicle from the rest. So more acceleration is required to increase the speed of the car, and this can be achieved by shifting to first gear due to availability of maximum tractive effort. Okay, so that's all for today. In our next lecture we'll discuss the various types of gearboxes, manual and automatic transmission, that are generally used in automobiles.